right, everybody, welcome to another Archons Corner. Like always, I got Ewok with me.
Hello, Keyforge community.
And Big Z.
Hey.
I'm Dr. Sheep, and our missing Wookiee is still missing, lost in the woods. So. Yeah, thank you.
Right.
All right, so we're going to just tear right in and talk about why I suck at Keyforge, because it turns out I suck at Keyforge.
Yeah, how did KFPL go Saturday?
I won a game.
One game? Good job.
One game. How about you, Ewok? You played.
I won a game via bye.
All right.
Oh.
Archons Corner champion. One game. Well, and we want to say congrats to Raider, who regularly plays with us. He made top cut. Joker was one game away, so some of our regulars did show up and play well. It just was not us.
So why is that? Why'd you suck?
Well, one of the main reasons I feel like I suck, especially in these KFPL tournaments, is I'm just not invested. I'm showing up and playing because I think head count counts in these tournaments. I want there to be the big number. I want it to show that people want to play Keyforge, but I'm already qualified, so I'm not playing for anything. because I'm not playing to win the money. That doesn't really mean anything to me. I'm more interested in winning the giant keys than I am in winning the cash prize, as silly as that is. So I'm just not that invested. So I practice. I help the team practice. I help people on Archon's Corner practice. But when it comes down to it, I'm just like, yeah, that's the deck I'm going to play. We'll see what happens.
Got it. How about you, Ewok? You had a vested interest. You're not in Season 2.
I do not have an access point to Season 2. So, no, I was invested. I actually practiced for this one. I was out pretty regularly. I had picked a deck early. I played it. I felt that I knew what was happening. But the end result for me, and to be very honest, don't play when you're sick. If you're sick, go get well. Like, for me, I look and it's only $10, but again, I want to be there to show numbers. But my head just was absolutely not in it. And when I say that, I ended up going ahead Saturday after the event. I felt pretty pootastic afterwards. I laid down at 6:00 and I didn't wake up until 10:15 the next morning. Was up for like an hour and then I went back to sleep. And I did end up testing positive for COVID. So that's new for my life. I'm in a quarantine day period. But the end result is if you don't feel well, if you're just not in it with your head, you don't make good, clean plays. So I'm grateful that no one else was there, that no one else got sick. I was in my computer. But you got to be in it, not just from the beginning, but that day of. If you're not feeling well, take a break, go ahead. There's another day to play Keyforge.
I can attest to the not play sick thing. I don't think I would have skipped the event, but it definitely affects your play. It was I think the Denver Vault. I had gotten sick the day before I flew, and then the next morning when I woke up, I was taking all kinds of stuff. My head was groggy, and it's the first and only time I can remember from my own personal play experience, because there's some triggers we all miss. Like, we all miss elusive at times, whatever. But I had never missed Embrump on the board ever in any game before that or since that. And I played into I library accessed while Embrump was on the board. My second card didn't kill it, and I was a huge whiff. And that lost me my best deck during the survival rounds. I ended up making day 2, but definitely not on the deck I was expecting to be. And again, it's what you're saying is you're not. There's so much involved in Keyforge you got to be aware of if you really want to be in the game in the moment, and anything that's taken away from you mentally is going to affect you in Keyforge for sure. It happens.
It does, but to be aware of it, that's an important piece, and I've had it happen in real life at a Vault Tour too. And that wasn't me. I went back actually home because my oldest was sick, and so I was on limited sleep. So whether that's limited sleep, whether that you're sick, whether someone else around you is sick, just kind of be aware of the Keyforge that you're playing and its impact. But that also then has an impact on your ability to take some deep breaths and let some things that are probably minor blow off your shoulder versus turning them into a larger piece. So again, it's a game. We're here to try and build the community and have fun with it.
Yes, and we do appreciate the numbers. That's a big part of keeping this game we all love alive. And 69 was a small dip from what we had before, but we have qualifiers all month, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And we'll have cash events continuing monthly as long as I can keep up the motivation and keeping people coming in. I'll be there to host.
So, I mean, like, as I said, I may not have been invested, but that still really doesn't excuse my poor play of winning one game. And, you know, there was definitely some underbidding of chains, which I thought I was doing really good in practice. Like, I lost a few games in practice, but when I lost them, it was, 3 keys to 2, and I was on check. So I was like, one chain maybe was going to make the difference. But this, like, I lost my second game 3 keys to none or something. It was absolutely awful. I was just going to try to find the KFPL sheet with the deck list, but I can't seem to find it now. I know one. I
know you crushed me when we played, so I mean I know you were on board prior to the event.
Yeah, John Lang, one of the Hamburg Atlanteans, played against him, and he had, and I think I looked at his deck. Obviously we had decks of Keyforge, so you could see the sass, you could see the scores, and I was just like, man, this deck is way better than mine. It was a double brig deck too, and it had steel, and I'm like, this deck is just like gonna crush what I'm playing. So we bid up, I don't know, 9-10 chains, somewhere in there, and at some point I got it, like, for 10 chains or 9 chains. And, of course, like, second turn, both binate ruptures are in hand. Both brigs are at the bottom of the deck. And I'm like, yeah, I just got suckered into what looks really good, but with a few chains and a bad draw is just a dud of a deck. And I just got suckered, I think. And it's sad, but I mean, that, being able to tell if a deck can play with chains can be pretty hard to do on the fly.
Yeah, super hard. Any other than being sick, any other takeaways you had as far as potentially being bad at short adaptive Ewok?
Well, first, before I get there, kind of a big shout out for Keeners, who took home first, Sad Crybear, who came in second, and then we had Jedi Cat and Elemental 29, who finished out the top 4. It was really nice to see everyone kind of playing well in that regard. Some really nice games that were played. For me, I'll be honest, I did have some frustration that came up. I had 2 of the games that ended up going to time, and when I say time, for me, I actually had 2 different games where the person turned over the final turn to me under 30 seconds. It was 27, and the other was under 10 seconds. And that kind of really rubbed me the wrong way. I know that the answer is don't let it go to time, but the end time rules just are a really big feel bad moment at this point. So not feeling well and then seeing that. So the pieces for me, we were kind of talking about a tournament mode. Instead of dwelling on that, I think tournament mode, I'm getting in that bad habit of not spending the first 2 minutes, the full 2 minutes, just looking at a deck and then having that deck list go away. I think that we're a little too dependent on being able to read deck lists from DOK right now and having access to what's still left in a deck. So I would love to see for a tournament mode, just here's a 2-minute timer and then the Archon card goes away and is hidden. And then the other piece is for the end game timer, when it's 3 to 5 minutes left, somewhere in there, that goes away so you don't see the timer. I know it's a big grandiose piece. We kind of talked extensively beforehand in regards to with Yeti, you'll have a timer that's there. I don't necessarily see that. It's a little different environment. There's been pieces with Shadow Worlds where we've seen time has been impacted. I believe, Z, if I'm correct, with the short adaptive, there was a number of games more than normal that went to time. Is that correct?
Yes, more than any other event we ran, including the qualified sealed.
Yeah.
Way back, we had more games go to time than we ever had for an event. I think we had, I think we averaged 1 to 2 tables a round that went to time. I don't think we had any go to time during the finals, top cuts.
So what
during
was
the Swiss, almost
yeah.
every round, someone.
So
would...
what was interesting about that is being able to see, people playing with chains on decks that has an impact on the game, and then going ahead and playing with a deck that you don't have familiarity because it's adaptive, so you may end up with someone else's deck. And there are even games where you end up with someone else's deck with chains. And so that did, I could see it slowing down some of the games that I was playing in or watching. It is part of short adaptive. I can definitely see that, but it was a feel bad moment. And so I don't know what else to really say. I think that we move on. It's supposed to be a game for us to all enjoy, but it was definitely a feel bad moment when I wasn't feeling well to start with. And another reason to take a break, go ahead and leave and walk away.
For sure. You already kind of mentioned a little bit of the recap of the event. I did accurately predict that the top 4 would be, not that they were unknown, but like not our common top 4 that we'd been seeing around the world and all the time. But all of the 4, Keanuist, Sad Cry Bear, Jedi Cat, Mental, those aren't the names that we'd been seeing at the top of the stuff like the Glorious You, Shadow Worlds, or other KFPL events, Coat. Which is what I said. From the go, people are talking about certain big names that are out there, either from SAS or Reprout or Kip, thinking that they would take this event because of their success in adaptive. And the entire time I was like, short adaptive is very, very different. Like, I know a lot about adaptive. I played a lot of adaptive. I do well in that. Dan, who went 1 and whatever, crushed me in every short adaptive mat I played against him, and then he got crushed. So, like, it is a very, very different animal. I think it would have taken me a lot of reps to even felt like I was going to be competitive in this, which I didn't have time to do. I wasn't playing the event anyway. So I was super happy, not only about my prediction being right, that we actually did see a new, completely unique to itself format, feature some players showing off they have skills too. Not that they didn't have skills playing the other formats, but like, I think everyone knows what I mean. It's just that it's a different skill set. People were able to highlight that they have the skill set, just like Sealed is its own thing. Normally, there are different people at the top of Sealed in the normal games than Archon and such. And we got to see that. So I was super happy there. What else? What else do people want to know about the event? I think that covers most of it. What's significant to this event, and we liked how it went, and we're going to keep doing that going forward. We've settled on the top cuts being X2, and then that ends up being like a play into the top 16 because there's normally a weird number. I think we're going to keep that going forward. So the X2, as long as you don't have more than 2 losses, you're still live to make top cuts. We felt that kept more people in the event longer because you still could make it as long as you don't have that 3rd loss. So that was a change we made from previous events to this event, and we plan on keeping that going forward.
And I second that. I actually like that idea of X2. It inspires you to keep playing, and there's more individuals that stand a chance. And they're just games that are bad matchups. You end up losing. So I like X2.
So is it 69 players just because people don't like 69. Adaptive?
The short adaptive point, I think part of it is the pool of players is going a little bit down because every time we have one of these, 4 people are qualifying. And then the short adaptive part, like I'm not sure why our numbers dipped a little bit. It went from 110 to 69. But part of the 110 was the charity side too. So
yeah, I guess
another aspect is it was still the holidays too. So some people might just be busy with.
I know listening in the chat, talking with people during our regular things, there are a lot of people who don't love adaptive. And, I'm a avid trash talker of adaptive and how I think good adaptive play, which apparently wasn't me this weekend, really brings the game close to 50-50, and high roll becomes a much more important thing. I still think that is very true and adaptive. And good adaptive play, like you're going to get 55-45 cut on the chain bid, and then it becomes a lot more about draw. I still think that's still my opinion on chain bidding adaptive rounds.
I still don't necessarily agree with that because my adaptive record is way higher than like my regular record, percentile wise. I just think what goes on with a lot of people is that, and this kind of happened with short adaptive and the adaptive season one we had, is like they get this idea of what one format is, but it's highly unfounded on anything like reps and like actually games played. And then after they play it a bunch, they start to understand it. So maybe some people started to play some short adaptive games like I did and started getting crushed and were like, "Ooh, this might not be good for me." I don't really know the difference or why we had the slight dip in people. But we'll see. Next format is not going to be like anything we've run before. I can give people a date, and the date itself will kind of hint at what could possibly be coming down the pipe. But I am not going to release the format because right now we're going to focus on qualifiers, which we'll talk about next. But the date for the next cash event will be February 13th, Saturday, same time as normal, 11 a.m. Eastern time. I think that's like 5 p.m. I know 4 p.m. something G time. I don't know. Over there in the UK. But yeah, that is the date for our next KFPL cash event. But right now we're focused on qualifiers. So, Ewok, you still have a chance to get into season 2. The qualifiers are all free. There's 2 for every one of the. There's 2 on the 16th and 2 on the 23rd. The 16th is Archon. The 23rd is sealed.
That's 4 decks sealed. I saw.
Yes, that's one of the things I was going to see what people would want to know about. We are changing it to 4 decks sealed. That way you can pick one of the any set you want, because you'll get 1 deck from each set that exists. And then you can pick your poison. Because in my case, I don't know if it's the deck I'd pick the most often to go into a sealed environment, but I love playing MM more than anything else. What other questions y'all got? I have all the information. I'm not going to go over every single detail, but what would y'all like to know about qualifiers every single weekend this month?
Yeah, so right, and there's 2 of them, 1 for each major time zone. You can play in both if you're an insane, I can be awake for 20 hours kind of person.
Yep.
And play quality Keyforge that whole time. That is not this guy.
Interestingly enough, in the qualifier, I think it was the sealed qualifier that we had for season 1. The person who won one of the spots in the second sealed qualifier did play and lose in the first sealed qualifier. One of the UK people, GJ. Yep. His name is George. I can play games for that long. I just don't know how effective I would be playing by the end of that. It's a lot of keys.
So I think the January 16th Archon is pretty straightforward. My question for the 23rd sealed, is this going to be curated decks again? So last
time we made a decision and we did decide to curate it, and it created a very different type of sealed scenario that didn't quite some of it we anticipated and some of it we didn't. We think the event went well. We got a lot of positive feedback, but it did create some weird matchups that don't typically ever happen in sealed. Just them being more competitive in general, and then all the decks had some kind of artifact control. So the normal stratagems that people would have taken to sealed, some of that was out the window. We want to see that come back. So we have made a decision. This time it will not be curated. So there will be a % chance you will get hot garbage, and there will be a % chance you get the heat. So it will be a completely uncurated list. I'll go ahead and say before y'all ask, people have asked about the MM deck. You can place the pips wherever the hell you want.
That could be so meaningless or so absolutely crazy.
You want a red penny with 3 draw, and your deck has a way to do that? Go for it. So that will make some interest. I mean, I don't know if how much that would slant more MM getting picked than not. If it does, that's good for me. I love MM. I love to see it played. Love to comment on it.
Well, I'm just thinking from that. So there's going to be, say you even shoot for the moon and you have 150 players signed up, which over 2 different events you're not going to have, right?
No,
because you're going to split your pool. So say you even get 75. I mean, I've opened 150 or 200 decks, and I can only think of 4 or 5 that have cards with 3 or more enhancements on them. Like that's just not that common. But I suppose there are a whole lot of decks with multiple double enhancements, and when you can put them wherever you want, that could be a bunch of singles and 1 card with 5.
Yeah, a deck that has 3 doubles means you could have a card in there starting with the 1 raw amber and then three more enhancements on that 1 card. If that card's like a Relentless Creeper or a Q-Mech or a Rad Penny, I mean you're already in business, right?
And you're gonna use a bot to create the decks, or you're not using the sealed system that's built into TCL, right?
No, I am not.
Good, because that is like weirdly curated decks.
I'm not going to share exactly how it is. Yeah, that way someone doesn't try to manipulate that in some way. But I do have a plan for how that will happen, and it will be a completely randomized.
So on January 30th, and going to Triad, we assume that you are going and doing sealed reversal Triad, correct?
No.
The
January 30th, we're gonna. Okay, so January 30th, we should have a pretty good idea of how many people are going to be slots already taken for the season 2. We're going to take 4 of those slots, put them aside for February 13th, and then however many slots we have remaining, that'll be the number of slots up for the January 30th, because that's basically our last chance qualifier, even though there will be 4 slots remaining after that for the cash event on February. But that Triad event will be exactly how the league is run. No SAS restriction Triad. Each of your Triad decks must be from a different set. And with the added caveat that you cannot have a Legacy Heart of the Forest deck. So the only deck in your Triad that can have a Heart of the Forest in it is the AOA deck. If you decide to bring a Heart AOA deck, KFPL is widely known to be against Heart of the Forest, but we didn't want to ban it outright for this event. So if you do have Heart of the Forest and you really want to play in your Triad, you can have it as one of your decks in your AOA slot. But your opponent does not have to be subjected to the terror of playing against that card, because it's Triad and they could totally ban it.
But my 4 enhanced Legacy Maverick Marching Generosity that has 5 amber just printed on it, that's still okay.
Yes. Sure.
The printer is sending me that card right now.
I'm pretty sure that card does not exist. Do we actually have confirmation that any Martian card has ever been in set 4 or 5? I don't think one has. But anyway.
Yeah, I can't recall if that's happened yet or not.
I've never
we are
seen an
extremely detailed on having accurate information. So let's go ahead and pause, and we'll look that up. Okay.
Okay. You can check. I do not believe, no facts at all, that an out of set Maverick has. Yeah.
I'm going to say go over to Sanctimonious. They have a channel called Collector Worm where it's all about goofy Legacy Mavericks and silly deck things. That's the place to find out that stuff. It is not something that I have memorized either. So that January 30th, though, could be very large, and it's going to be true Triad.
It's true Triad. Because it is true Triad, it will only be 6 rounds of Swiss, and after that, we are going to take whatever the heck challenge sells us up, whatever. I think right now our estimation is that it is 7, but if people drop or whatever between now and then, it could be more slots. But it'll be the total remaining amount of slots we have left to offer for Season 2 minus the 4 we have in reserve for February 13th.
And that's just after 6 rounds, it's just the top?
6 rounds of Triad, whatever's at the top, whatever number, that's who we take.
Oh,
So you're not doing X2?
Feel bad tiebreakers from Challenge.
Any of our best of 3 events, we've just been doing that. Yes, there will be some feel bad issues. I think last time Jupiter gave whoever was on like the next up that feel bad moment where you really just weren't it because of the breakers. I think he gave him a fuzzy Gruin or something, but it was nice of him to do that. But I mean, this is a competitive event that's going to happen. Someone has got to be the person on the ball.
Yeah. No, it's going to be good. That's how it is. I mean, like, I'm with you, though. It's either that or you're going to do 6 rounds on Saturday and then Top Cut on Sunday.
We're not doing any more than 6 rounds of Swiss for True Triad. Yeah. We're trying to stick to 1-day events.
Because those are hour and a half rounds, right?
It's going to be. I think we set it to 90 minutes. It's either 80 or 90 minutes. It's in all our league rules. That's the range. I can't remember exactly which one it is at the moment. But yeah, that's gonna be a lot of Keyforge, lots of fun matches. I'm sure we're gonna see some pretty nuts sass triads out there. We'll see what happens.
All right, so
get your triad together, you walk.
There you go. KFPL Season 2 is all about that triad. So triad, unique set, and no legacy heart. So good practice, and we'll see what happens.
We do have a lot of people ask about like borrowing and whatnot. Borrowing is somewhat expected / encouraged for all of the qualifiers in the league itself. Especially like if you're on a team like Dan here is obviously on a team. Depending on how many people make the team, like there will be different decks available for him to borrow. I mean, we expect, the Reap Out folks to, pool their resources and see the best the Reap Out has to offer, just like Hamburg Atlanteans. Well, oddly enough for them, the more people that get into Season 2, the less likely a Hamburg Atlantean is going to win the Season 2. So I don't know if they've actually done that in their Keyforge calculus.
Just like trash talk at the Atlanteans, trying to get less Atlanteans in there?
No, I'm like, they've been doing really well. I'm proud of them. I'm just like, I just don't know. I mean, Team SAS wouldn't think that way either. Like, we would want as many people as we can to get in as they can. But oddly enough, the more people of one team that gets into this event, you're having to divide out those decks, right? So, like, that's an interesting part of Keyforge calculus that goes down. Do you actually, like, divide out the best decks so they're always getting struck? Or do you take your 3 best decks, give it to who you perceive to be your best player, and that way 2 of the best decks on the team always gets played? So, like, I would be interested to know what those conversations would be looking like on teams. I've tried my best to stay out of those conversations on my own team. That really needs to be the players' decisions that are in it, even though I imagine that they'll be borrowing my decks. That part is what it is. They're up for the team's available use. So that will be an interesting thing to see.
Yeah, well, I know as the team, definitely going to try hard to go somewhere because this is the closest thing to Vault Tour play we have, and we want to do the high-level, exciting play stuff. So,
yeah, this week we had 2 people make top cut and then immediately lose. So I was like, okay, guys, come on. So, anyhow, what else? Do we have any other questions about qualifiers or the KFPL from your point of view?
Well, it's exciting. I'm already qualified, but they gave me the option. I can give back my qualification so I can enter the qualifiers. This seems like a bad bet.
So this is like, I could get inside scoop of where because this literally happened today. You're referring to an event that occurred today. I don't know. This is Wednesday. I don't know when this is actually going to get posted. But we had people in our chat saying these events are fun. We'd like to play. We're already qualified. So the internals had a meeting, and they came up with like, fine, qualified players want to play. You could donate your current qualified seat to Season 2 right now to the Last Chance Qualifier Triad event on the 30th to play in the qualifiers leading up to it. So if you made top 3, you'd get back in. but you'd be giving up your seat to do that. So if someone has, so in our own internal chat, we're like talking about like this being like some of us are saying like, oh yeah, this is just a huge flex. Another person said, no, that's just being a total D. So what's your take on that, Sheep? You have a seat.
I think it would be, the only reason I would do it is because I knew I wasn't going to be able to play in Season 2 anyways. And then I'd give it up and play for some fun, right?
Got it.
Like, I could see doing that, but I could not. I mean, like, I don't care how cocky I am. I don't care if I'm playing your best deck, right? I am not so sure in my skills or my luck any day to say, I know I can top cut or finish this. You know, it's just, Keyforge has enough variance in it that I would not bet something valuable like that kind of value on it. Something limited value, like money and plenty of things. Yeah, whatever.
There's only one person on our team that I know that has ever sat down to a major event and said at the very beginning that I'm going to win this period. That's not Sheep. It's not me. Person that said this actually did win it, which annoys me a little bit. And while he is incredibly skillful, I think not anyone, but most people that had been handed that deck would have won that sealed event. But anyway, he was confident enough to say that. I am not. All I do every day when I show up to play in any competitive Keyforge event, like I'm going to come up, I'm going to play my best. If I play my very best and do clean play the entire time, I feel I have a good shot to do really well, as in make the top 16 or whatever. Like that's it for me. That's all I ever say. That's all I ever expect from the scenario, and I've done fairly well in the competitions I've been in.
And over here, Ewok is very confident in his ability to go ahead and make day 2, and then in actual play, his ability to go ahead and only win via buy. So that is what I am confident in right here.
Hey, you've done well in our league, our ABR league.
Yeah, that's again. I believe I know the game of Keyforge to play. I did well in ABR, but anywhere else, it's not anywhere else because I do fine in Chainbound and do fine in Prime.
You carried us in Shadow Worlds.
You're gonna have your day. Maybe
I did fine in Shadow Worlds.
Number 1,
but well, one day we're gonna make day 2, or we're gonna make top cut for one of these.
Hey, maybe that day is January 16th.
16th, 23rd, or 30th. We'll see if I can play.
Maybe that'll be a great cast to do the following week if one of those ends up being the golden day.
Yeah, sadly, I'm just not going to be playing any of these because I'm not going to risk my spot.
So. Yeah, no, I agree with your decision, Dan. I will be shocked if anyone does give up their spot. Like surely no one would even consider giving up their spot for sealed, right? Like that would be the most ridiculous of all the three.
But if I was to do it, that would be where I do it because I love the dumbness that is sealed. I get so angry when I open all trash, but I love the dumbness that is sealed. It's just,
it's
just another roll of the dice, and I love gambling. So yeah, like that's the kind of gambling I like. Low stakes gambling, but I guess it's too high stakes with the season 2 thing. But any of our Archons Corner listeners, I have plenty of decks, and nobody on my team's going to be using them because I've got the tier 4 set of decks in truth. So if anybody needs something from my collection, I'm sure I can loan it out, as Archons Corner listeners need to represent too. Need to have people I know playing with me in season 2, so that way you'll actually voice chat with me, because silent Keyforge is boring Keyforge.
Yeah, sometimes. All right, that wraps up pretty much everything for KFPL that I got. I will talk to you all next week about the results of qualifiers 1 and 2. Those will be the Archons this weekend. What's next? Keep us honest, Ewok. What we got next?
Well, so while Sheep is not playing, he's going to be rolling around in some loot. What do you got for loot there, Sheep?
So it is exciting. Is on the way to my residence now is our box of prizes that we're going to be able to give away at events. So I have like $415 worth of actual OP, FFG, Keyforge OP stuff coming. So I got store leaderboard kits. I got like 4 more store leaderboard kits coming. I got 2 store championships. I got playmats coming. I'm pretty sure I have got Shadows figures coming. But they haven't been advertising their OP well, so I don't really know what I bought. I just saw the list and I said, I'll take 2 of everything on that list.
All right, now wait a minute. When you say shadow figures, are you talking about like the actual miniature, the one that legit looks cool?
I think the little painted dude.
The Dusk Runner.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I don't know.
Tell me and all of our listeners how we earn this.
We run an event and we give it away. Listeners, you tell me what kind of event you want to play in. The only thing I have to do is cover the cost, right? Because the store did pay money for this stuff. We got to cover the cost back to the store. And I think the figure kits, and I don't even know what's in it. So my plan is, if that box shows up this weekend, I will get on the Twitch and I will do an unboxing of OP kits. I don't know if there's many of those done. Like, you see pictures of them once in a while, but I will do some unboxings of OP kits, and we can do whatever we want. Like, my plan is, we got the store signed back up as an actual leaderboard store. So if you go and look up Kryptonite Collectibles store leaderboard, we're on there again. So that's our Tuesday night events and Sunday night events go towards that. So I'm going to use the leaderboard kits over the next 3 months. And we're just going to give them away like you're supposed to do leaderboard kits, right? Just traditional leaderboard. Top 4 on that leaderboard is getting a leaderboard deck.
Awesome.
So we're going to do that. So,
and I will say about that, Sheep, there has already been some fisticuffs thrown out on our AC little Discord. So it's great to see the excitement from our listeners and those people who are in the Discord. So if you're not part of it, come join. And it's something to definitely bring out to have some fun for 2 different events.
Yeah, so that's Tuesday nights, which we're running as sealed. And I have AOA decks. And when this big box of stuff comes, my boxes of Mass Mutation come. So Mass Mutation seals are going to be like $8 a player. Plus you have to deal with your own shipping afterwards. But the deck will be like $8. That'll cover the cost of prize support and everything for all of our sealeds. So we'll do Mass Mutation sealed. I also have cheaper AOA decks. If you want to get in cheaply, you can play AOA, but that's your own suicide bet there. And then Sundays, our chain bounds run from the same store, so they also go on the same leaderboard. Thursday nights, we have Kryptonite actually has a second location, and that's where the Thursday night chain bounds are run from. So those do not count towards the leaderboard. So that's the night that we can do silly things, or you can bring stuff if you don't care about the leaderboard or whatever. Like, those won't be leaderboard. And then D-Champ is still going to be doing Wednesday night chain bounds for us as well. So there are lots of legit, actual FFG events going on through Archon's Corner, and you can earn shards. So it is pretty cool. But this box loot should be exciting because I've got basically everything they have to offer. And I don't know if I'm really supposed to say what I can see, but I saw a list of inventory for OP kits, and if you're really into the wild wormhole mats, I'm pretty sure your store could still get them, because I think it said there were thousands of those kits still available, the original Discovery kits. So if you really want wild wormhole mats, they're still out there. But there is one 2019 Grand Championship kit in inventory still. So I wonder where that's going to show up. I asked for it. They wouldn't give it to me. But there is...
Okay, Dan. We're glad you asked.
We are.
You have to ask, right? Like, how could you not? I'm surprised that there wasn't any Prime Championship kits. Or they're not listed, but there is one Grand Championship kit listed. So that means there's one more of those gold bordered decks printed and ready to go.
Yeah.
So that's like I think I would have actually, if they'd sent that to me, I would have emailed back to OP and been like, hey, I don't think I was actually supposed to get this. What should we do with it? because I would feel dirty just cracking it and taking it without doing anything with it.
Well, and let's be very honest, Sheep. When you say cracking it, you ran a very large sealed event where we had 48 players, and players over in Germany have already gotten their decks that you've sent out. You were meticulous about getting decks out right away. So if people are interested in playing, I know that you had said that you could potentially hold for a month to be able to send out a couple decks at a time versus shipping out every single week. But all these decks, they're not going to you. You've given these decks away. Plus, I mean, we had multiple boxes of Coda that were given away as prize support. We had keys. We had luxury playstyle that we had contacted and gave away $75 worth. What was that, keys?
Those are $85 keys, sir.
85. I mean, sorry, and I apologize, but like, people have been so generous, and you were part of that. So it's not a matter of any of this is coming to you. It's just amazing to be able to play Chainbound 4 nights a week, on Sunday, Tuesday for sealed, Wednesday, Thursday, and have things running with leaderboard kits and just having fun playing Keyforge.
Yeah, the nice thing with the Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, Wednesday events we have going on is they're casual level play, so I can play in them and run them, which is really nice, which that's just total incentive for me to run them, is because now that's another reason to play some cool Keyforge, and that's always good in my book. Like, playing more Keyforge, that's great. But we're going to have all these other play mats, and we're going to have 2 store championship kits, so we're going to run some real events with those. And on the store championships, I'm really looking for what kind of formats people would actually be interested in playing, right? We'll set them up for, we probably won't run anything until February because KFPL is crushed weekends, right? For this month. But, February opens up. Plus, I need some time after all the amount of boxing I did do for this last sealed. I don't think I want to run another 48-player 3-deck sealed. Maybe a 1-deck sealed. I don't know if I want to do another 48-player 3-deck sealed. That was quite a lot of boxing and packaging and shipping. And international shipping is still really terrible. It is not fun to do. Customs make no sense to me. So I don't know, what kind of formats would people actually be interested in playing? Hit us up on our Discord. We have a Discord, so hit us up there if you have some kind of format that you would really like to see run. It is a store championship, which I'll have to put that list up. There is actually a list of acceptable formats. You can't run just anything you want. They have a set of formats.
Reversal is on the store championship list.
Well,
guys.
We're playing Reversal for the ABR League. Thank you, Z.
You're welcome.
So we will see how that goes, and then I will decide if I want to risk running a Reversal serious tournament. But there hasn't been that many of them.
Nope.
I know, didn't one of your store championships run as Reversal back in the day for the Bingo Bang Bang kit?
Yeah, I won we had 3, actually 4 at the time, 4 active stores that ran store championships kind of back-to-back weekends, and we all took turns doing all the formats, and my store took Reversal, because obviously I love Reversal. So we did the 2-deck survival, the Archon, the Reversal. I think that's it, actually.
Yeah.
There's 2-deck sealed survival as well.
I do like 2-deck sealed survival. That is probably my favorite format of the store championships. It's 2 decks is still pretty much crapshoot luck, but you get to play both the decks you got. If you don't do well, you get to go home early. That's always nice. So I've always liked 2-deck sealed survival, and I wouldn't be opposed to running one of those. Mass Mutation just makes it a little more work now, right? Sending out pictures the way you have to do it with the online stuff.
Yep.
I suppose you could just not open decks and be like, you can assign your pips however you want. Like, that would save some definite time.
If I were running it based on decisions I've had to make through KFPL, that's how I would do it. And then, like when they get the deck, it's obviously not going to be that exactly, but it doesn't matter for the event. It would be, as long as everyone gets that choice, it'd be fair.
Yeah, I guess I'll see how this 23rd event goes and see how I feel about that, because if it gets won by some janky Mass Mutation thing because of the pips, I may feel differently. We'll see what comes to the top of that event, and then I can better
Yeah,
judge.
that would be pretty telling because at that point, everyone had 4 decks. You're potentially looking at like 300 something decks, right? That were in the field to pick from. And if some like 4 draw red penny or something has it on there, like that could swing a game potentially, right? If there's enough synergy behind it.
Yeah. So I'm excited because we got lots of OP, real Fantasy Flight support. I have the support of the store to run the stuff. Like, we can't run in store, so we're doing the best we can. We're clearly running by cameras, right? We're, everybody's on their camera with Skype, chatting and sharing pictures.
Yes.
You got your full proxy set of upgrades and creatures off to the side so you can steal each other's creatures. Like, we know how to play this game. We're doing that for certain.
The camera online.
Yes.
And
PCO.
right? I think the piece that is often missed with playing online is that you don't have the chat. But our Discord is very active. Everyone is there, and people have been breaking out into their small little rooms to talk during the game. Everyone comes back. You have people who finish early and go and watch. That's where the joy is. You're playing goofy, wonky decks. You're having fun, and you're not. You're getting some chains, but it's Keyforge at its best for what we can do right now. So we'd love to be in person for the actual store, but this is a second best. And I love everyone being able to chat and just have fun on those nights.
For sure.
Yeah. So, if you're listening, if you're listening and you can join for 8 p.m. events, I'm sorry that 8 p.m. Central Standard Time, that is just the time that works for us because, that's, where we're based in the USA, and switching to other times would get it to where I would have too much wife aggro, and I can't do it. So.
Yeah. As everyone knows, we're not getting paid for this. We're just doing our best to do what we can when we can, and that happens to be when we can.
I was gonna say, if these sealed events start running consistent with a lot of players, I'm gonna have to talk to my store and be like, I ain't getting paid for this, man. There's a lot of work on my part.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, okay, you can have $1 per player. Like, oh boy.
I don't even have anyone to talk to about the KFPL. I do. FFG needs to write us all a check. Here you go.
How did that go for the last
$1?
The last people who said, "Hey, I'm doing a lot of work for Keyforge. You should write me a check." I don't think that went well for them.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah, like that. That's the problem. Is this game and the people are in it? We're just willing to do too much for free for our game. Like in some regards, there is that part. Like, why would they pay for anything when there's so many people who will do it for free?
True.
But I love the game enough. I will continue to do it for free. Right? It's, it definitely comes, it's a much different standpoint when you're running a store and you're running the game because it makes you money. And, that's not why we're doing it.
No.
All right.
I think that's all we got, though, right?
Yeah, that's all we got, unless we really want to talk about spoilers.
I would just simply say it is spoiler season. There are a ton of them out there. But keep your eyes open. I think we can leave that for next week, unless you wanted to talk about the 2 that we had highlighted. But there, Arcana is a great spot to be able to pull quite a few of them. I've actually seen a number of them posted to Facebook. There was a schedule that I saw, was it earlier this weekend?
Arcana was putting that together too, a schedule of when things are supposed to be being released.
FFG, we are a podcast that supports your game with Keyforge. We'd love to be able to grab another spoiler, but I would say that we leave it until next week.
Yeah, so if we have listeners that have any contact with FFG, you go and give them grief on our behalf, being like, my favorite or third favorite, or, well, we can't be much worse than third favorite, right?
Are there 3 of us left?
Yep, I think there's 3 of us.
I think
so,
there are 3.
There are at least 3 in English. Get some other languages. There are some more podcasts, but so you tell them that your favorite podcast got the short end of the stick on these spoilers, and that was not cool.
We got a Trojan Sauropod.
We didn't get a Trojan Sauropod.
No.
We got Trojan Sauropoded.
All right. Bad joke. I'm out. I'm done.
Yeah. So no spoilers. We won't talk about the spoilers this week. There was some pretty cool ones. The only thing we can say is that remember what you've seen is mostly rare cards, which make up a very small percentage of your decks, and do not define the power level of the set. So don't get too doom and gloom because there hasn't been enough Amber Control stuff showing or whatever, because these are mostly rares. So they're not that essential to the overall quality of the set.
And the core of the set is made up by the common. And in fact, there's a really good common. We're not going to talk about it today, but yes, it is very much a stealing effect that I would like to see many of in one deck.
6 of, so Dave doesn't look at it.
Yes, it can't be 5, or else it'll automatically find itself into Dave's clutches. So yes,
yeah.
Are there any decks with 6 of a common? I don't know.
Niffleape, I think there's 6 of them. And then in common. But. All right, well, thanks everybody for listening. I think we're going to wrap it up here tonight, and we should be back next week with some other stuff. And if something exciting doesn't happen, expect some spoiler talk, because that's what's out there.
Yes, yeah. Keyforge and Keys, maybe next week. Ewok will be in KFPL Season 2. Maybe.
Or better chance, Ewok will be finishing with 1 or 0 wins. So wish me luck on that. I also want to go ahead and take just a moment to apologize. Our RSS feed did have some issues, so we have caught it, or WOOKIE, he's the one behind the scene. But if you haven't seen the podcast for a little bit, we're kind of working with Speaker to make sure that we're up and running. So hopefully you get your amazing podcast because you love all of us and WOOKIE.
Yes, the internet has failed us. Go figure. All right. Good night, everybody, and see you later.